Good afternoon, everybody. I keep having problems with my camera on every one of my laptops, whether it's through YouTube or Zoom. They seem to crash. I was going to do a YouTube live and or a Zoom live and then put in some charts. What I'm going to have to do, because I wanted to actually start it out or end it up with a little bit of a beat. Okay. This is one of my favorite lines in recent hip hop is how this song starts out, called Star of the Show. We're going to give a little bit of a taste and then I'm going to stop it and then I'm going to tell you what I'm here to tell you. And maybe we'll finish it up with a couple of verses. Star of the show. 6 minutes allergy. They love me as a microphone killer. My only competition is the man in the mirror. Modeling killer, modeling killer. Slick Rick flow, truck go chinchilla. Now, how many of you know what that means? I don't know how many of you know that what that means. I think the point that I really like, that I just wanted to replay one more time, and I'll point it out. That's like the phone killer. The competition is the man in the mirror. My only competition is the man in the mirror. Bottle of tequila, maybe 20 years ago. I don't drink tequila anymore. But the problem is the man in the mirror and the mistakes that we make in our trading and in our life. And I'm here to talk to you about not the second part, but the trading part. I want to highlight two things really quickly. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show. I don't think I can share my screen. Let me see if I can on here. I'm sorry, it's probably going to be a little wonky. So maybe what I'll do is this. I'll get a little creative and we're just going to put one of the stock charts up here that I want to focus on. But listen, the LAC, the Lithium Americas Corporation, the most prolific lithium stock that we've seen, and many of us have been in this game for a while, right? So we've watched LAC. Look at this bad boy. Can you see? Can you see this? Let's see. Hold on. That's Jacob wrestling with the angel of God. I love that piece of art. What? Sorry. Here we go. So there you go on the LAC chart over the last 10 years, which has been a massive, massive winner. And now you've got another real puke down, very, very abrupt on this one, which has gone from $42 down to $7.33. I just had a comment on the YouTube channel, and listen, whoever wrote this, good for you. I get it. This is all fair game. The people that comment that are real trolls, like, I don't appreciate that. And it doesn't do us any good. But this individual, I'm actually going to read what they wrote, which I think is it's actually like a good point, to bring up when somebody like me is saying, okay, well, let's look at trading this lithium stock, which is tanking, and the lithium prices have come off substantially. And this is it's a highlighted comment. There were 3 people that liked it, 4 people actually. And I have a lot of really good comments too, which I always appreciate, guys. Like anybody who follows the Gold Investment Letter or me, and then you end up liking the videos, and then if you share them as well, that goes a long way because it actually expands my audience a little bit. And I'm limited on what I can actually talk about to a degree on this particular channel, because I'd love to talk about all kinds of crazy shit, and I do some of that on my private my private YouTube channel, because I don't really care if it gets banned. I don't have very many followers. But in Gold Investment Letter, I try to avoid too much I want to do business. I want to talk business. I want to talk investing. And that's where I feel like I'm here, that I can help. I can help people. I can help, not like I'm your savior, but I can add value. Like even if you're a fantastically better investor than I am, you're going to see that a lot of the things that I put out are not nonsense. And that some of these data points and things that I find interesting when I'm in front of this damn screen 12, 20 hours a day that I pull out and I share. Hopefully it adds value, saves you time. There are things that you weren't aware of, or you were. It confirms a thought of yours. Those are the reasons that somebody adds value to me. It's not about being a guru or any of this shit. I'm not your guru. Anyway, the the comment I made last night, which is gold miners Lithium Americas trading update, and I think that there's some decent information in there about just pointing out the charts on some of these stocks. Like look at Golden Tag, for example. This is it's not a teeny tiny, it's a penny stock, but it's not a teeny tiny play. I mean, these guys have got infrastructure of hundreds of millions of dollars and billions of dollars of silver in the ground. They're $8 million away from going back into production at the highest grade silver mine that First Majestic ever started, that made the company. And the stock is dirt cheap, and it's trading. If you look at that video from last night, it's right on it's a decade long support level at 10 cents Canadian. So in my experience, you buy the shit out of a stock all around that area, not just at 10, because every schmuck is sitting at 10. Please, one thing that I would say that it seems obvious to me, but a lot of people don't necessarily think of it. But when they do, they they get it. Never put a limit order in on anything that you're buying or you're selling on a round number. $50 a share, I'm going to sell. You put it in at 49.90 or 49.85. Do you think that 15 cents really makes much of a difference? It's like it's a tiny percentage or a portion of a percentage. Something's at 10 cents with strong support or strong breakout. If you're trying to sell it, you sell it at 0.097 or 98. You don't sit at 10 with the rest of the plebs and sheep that are all lined up there, and there's like 20 million shares sitting there. If you want to get out and you want to take the profit, you take a little bit less and you make sure you get the profit, because a lot of times things stop at those walls of round numbers. Anyway, I digress. Golden Tag, folks, load up on this stock. If not load up, buy a position and buy a strong position. And if it goes below 9 cents Canadian again, because it's already dipped below 10 3 times and come back above 10, this is bottoming action. And this stock should go back to 60 cents in any sort of a more constructive bull cycle or bull market in silver and mining stocks. Gold is the key. I don't care what anybody says. You can watch this, you can watch that. Gold is the key to all the commodity markets. It leads the way. If gold is strong, it's imminent or inevitable, at least, that so will the commodity stocks, the other precious metal stocks. Gold is what we watch. Gold is still the king. It's the king of precious metals. It's the king of a store of value. It's the king of money. And that's not to say that I've lost my gumption and bullishness on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is the king of the future, okay, in this area. And it's also going to be the king in terms of investment returns over gold, but I'm not in gold for that venture type return. You have to be able, and I am convinced that I know what the frick I'm talking about here. More than 99.9% of anybody on the planet in the professional investment realm, I don't care who it is, you sit me down with them and we have this discussion, and they're going to leave. They might disagree with a point or two, but the premise they're not going to be able to deny. And if they do, they're going to look like an idiot. I understand gold. I understand money, and I understand Bitcoin, and I understand how it all works. I have a lot of things I don't understand. I don't understand why women get upset at certain things that I see as non-events or jokes. I have to work on that. But there's other things too, in geology and engineering and metallurgy. These are all things I'm slowly learning, in this sector. But I have to rely on experts, and I'm fine with that. But anyway, look, this is the comment. Lithium tanked on October 18th because Bank of America warned of an oversupply through 24-25. Also, Deutsche Bank downgraded Lithium Americas from buy to hold. the spot price of lithium carbonate in China has already plummeted 70% from its peak in November 2022. Not a good time to buy any lithium stocks. Let me just stop it right there. So, when's the time to buy lithium stocks? Back when China was bullish, Deutsche Bank and Lithium America were bullish in 2022 when it was 100% and 50%, 150% higher than it is today, when everybody's comfortable and bullish and just cushy about the stability and the upward rise in the price. I don't work that way, guys. That's just not how I operate. I will tell you, very briefly, if this is of interest, because I think a lot of you that are here, that have stuck with the gold investment letter, you understand that, like, I'm not the man. Okay. I'm far from the man, but I'm also far from a rogue, just conspiracy theorist, end of the world guy. I'm focused on making us money. And I'm trying to be better and better and better at my trade, which is speculation, investment, and trading. Okay. And I have gotten better. I'm 48 years old. I've had my ups and downs throughout my life. I started out broke eating ramen noodles, trying to survive, about to live at a YMCA in Chicago while I was building my book of business, making 300 to 400 cold calls a day, trying to find strangers to give me a chance to open an account. And, uh, and then I've had some success in certain cycles of the market. And then I gave it all back and then some, because I didn't understand the way things worked in cycles and I was too young. Then I started to understand how it worked, and my personal life became a little challenging from having a little bit too much fun. And I had to make changes there. And all these things affect my investing and my life. And to me, they're all integrated. All I can tell you today is that um, I am dialed in. I see very clearly. I see the ball very clearly in terms of what I'm going to portray to you guys and where I'm at with looking at these markets, absorbing what I feel are confident bets. Some things that aren't confident bets, I don't put them out there. I don't try to just, you'll notice with the gold investment letter, it can be something that some of you don't like and some of you may appreciate. I don't put out regular content all the time. I'm not trying to say, hey, I'm going to give you content every single week or every single day if I don't have anything to say that I really feel is of value. So, but when I talk, I try to put something out there that is actually going to be, if not of value, at least there's a little bit of entertainment value. But bottom line is, let's look at this comment. This comment right here, and this gentleman, Daniel, doesn't have the ability to, you know, retort. Daniel, if you want to actually, if you're listening to this, if you're one of my guys and follow, and you were respectful, you said, look, just my opinion. Hey, fair enough. You want to get on a Zoom and let's have a chat about what your thoughts are versus what, kind of how I'm approaching this. Let's do it. Let's do it today or tomorrow. Just write your email or email me or email Erica, Erika at phenom, PHENOM.ventures, just like that, and say, hey, I was getting into it with Eric of the YouTube. He invited me to set up a Zoom so we could chat about it, and then we could record it. And we could record it, and then, like, whether we want to publish it or not, it's up to you. I'll just chat with you about this. This is all good stuff for me. But anyway, I don't buy shit um, when China is blowing the lithium price up, and then you've got the banks. You trust Deutsche Bank, Bank of America. I know the research, the analysts, the bankers, the executives, the biggest brokers and producers at these banks. They're on my speed dial. They're my college roommates. And they're full of fucking shit half the time because they're pushing a banking narrative, and their research typically sucks. I respect it, and I will take data points from some of the big houses that I do with my research. But I've learned not to trust their overall narrative generally. Goldman research comes out on something, and I will read it and I will look at it because I think that they're still the best in the business. But yeah, B of A doesn't do much for me, and Deutsche Bank, Not much either. Anyway, your point was that lithium carbonate's plummeted 70% from its peak in November 2022. So that's in less than 12 months, a 70% decline. You know what that means to me, which is partially the reason why I'm recommending the Lithium Americas trade. This isn't about catching a falling a knife and then hoping for a turnaround in lithium long term. I'm going to use my proprietary third scaling in trade on a bounce, the first significant bounce. It could just be a technical bounce. It has nothing to do with the market, the severity of the decline, and the things that I see on the technical indicators. I don't care what anybody's saying or what's going on in a particular sector or stock. It has to do with the activity being extreme. That's my main premise. Do I like lithium going forward? I do, but it is pulling back hard, and a lot of the lithium stocks are pulling back hard, and the bottom is probably not in yet. But on LAC, one of the biggest and best plays in the lithium space, it's getting overcooked. So the second tranche was pulled. The third tranche is for like emergency, anomaly type stuff where it gets even further stretched to the point where you're just like, holy shit, this thing has gone down so much, so fast, so far. I buy into those things and I do it into three pieces to average and scale into it so that when we get a relief rally, I will have opportunities, and so will you if you follow along to a T. I'll call it 9 times out of 10, but it's actually more like, well, 22 out of 23 times we've done this publicly. I've done it more personally. Um, and it's a question of what is that return. So you can end up doing what I'm telling you to do, and then we end up having a 10 to 15% gain on the overall cost average of the buy-ins, and flip it in 2 days. Annualized, what is that return? That's another thing to look at. Could be just a 15% return on a trade. Not bad, but I don't usually mess around with that stuff. I like to go for 30 to 50% minimum on swing trades, which we very well may get here. I'm talking to you in the face of we're down. I'm down a lot on this actual trade, and I feel just fine because I know how these things play out. Trust me, it's going to be a little bit different here very soon. And that's why you would want to listen to me, because all the big banks are talking smack about this or that, or avoiding this or that, playing it safe, keeping their jobs. They make 400 grand a year as an analyst. They don't want to lose that job, so they don't take a lot of risk. I'm here to get rich or die trying, for a lack of a better term. I'm here to make my subscribers money when they normally wouldn't get this information. And I'm proud of that. And I'm not always perfect, but in general, I know how to make money in this market. And I know how to do it in pretty extreme, bumpy, volatile, scary, euphoric circumstances. Your next comment was the vanadium price is also plummeted. Now you're speaking close to my heart. Do you know that my biggest position is a gold and vanadium company, Phenom Resources? Let me ask you a question. What is like investing 101 from Warren Buffett and everybody else? Like the theme of themes: buy low, sell high, blood in the streets. That's when you buy stock. But we forget about that. So vanadium has been smashed since April. It's been crushed, and that's why Phenom has faded back down. But Phenom has two elements to it that we've built, and I'm a part of this. I put these things together and ensure that we have a future by buying up world-class gold projects in Nevada, one of which we're drilling right now that could change everything with one assay result back from the lab in a couple of weeks. Maybe not. Doesn't matter. We have 4 world-class Nevada and Arizona copper and gold assets, in addition to the most attractive, largest, highest grade vanadium asset at surface in North America. Vanadium's not going away. Vanadium has been hit just like a lot of these other commodities have been hit. But in my experience, don't you want to be buying things when they've plummeted? Don't you want to be thinking about taking at least small positions in things if you're a long-term investor after they've plummeted and there's a lot of uncertainty? This is the biggest problem I have with the newsletter. It's very discouraging because when I do this stuff and it eventually pays off in a massive way, even though sometimes you have to go through a little bit more suffering first and you have to be patient. We This newsletter has produced dozens of 5, 10, 15, 20, 50, 100x returns in mining stocks, and it hasn't been by buying when Bank of America and Deutsche Bank are comfortable. Fuck those guys. Okay. I'm buying vanadium stocks slowly but surely. I don't know if the vanadium bottom is in. It may not be. It's been very weak. It could continue to go a bit weaker, but it ain't going that much lower. And sooner or later, vanadium prices are going to go a lot higher. Okay. When that happens, and there are very few vehicles to have exposure to vanadium, if you've heard of FOMO, that is exactly what we're going to see in vanadium stocks. And the question then is like, as an investor, when you start to have a stock that you bought that goes down and you're frustrated and you're getting impatient, here's how I've made a lot of money. You give up on trying to pick the time frame and you just realize I own a piece of a very valuable asset. And at some point when this market normalizes or gets hot, God bless it, if and when it does get actually hot in the price and starts to run up like we saw in 2018 with vanadium. I mean, First Vanadium, which was Phenom at that time, we bought in at 14 cents and it went to $2 in 7 months. These are the type of things that have happened to me and our subscribers over and over and over again. We've also had plenty that I recommended that ground down in a bear market for 4 or 5 years and are down 70%. My message in those cases, though, is that, yeah, that's going to happen. I'm not going to avoid it. I'm going to have things that I'm wrong on. But if you do spread your risk in a lot of the ideas, I'll tell you something. You have a stock go from 14 cents to $2, or an Encore Energy go from 5 cents to $3 to 250. Uh, even though we had to wait a couple of years for the uranium market to bottom out, that was a little frustrating, but we earned it. You have an Abra Plata at 5 cents. We saved the company a 10-cent warrant. It goes to 80. You have Gungnir at a half of a penny in 2015 in a market very similar to this that goes to 40, 80x. You even get close on some of those buys near the lows and sells near the top with even like half of your position. You can have tons of deals go to zero, and your actual overall returns are world class, beating some of the best fund managers in the world. And I know everybody's got different portfolios and stuff, which is why I've considered launching a fund so I can, do this and make it official and let people bank on, what I'm doing instead of having to do it yourself. For some of you that don't really want to do it, but a lot of you enjoy this, right? So anyway, listen, I'm going to wrap it up with just saying, let me see the end of that comment from you, sir. Not a good time. So not a good time to buy any lithium stocks. The vanadium price has also plummeted. I wouldn't touch these resources until a price reversal occurs. Gold has had a couple good days, though. War tends to send oil and AU up, just my opinion. So I don't disagree with some of that. What I disagree with, though, is that you're writing off lithium and vanadium after they go down a lot. And that's not when I write things off. I've been looking for a lithium pullback because it's been going up a lot for last year and a half. This pullback is good. It's healthy, and it's going to allow for better entry points in some of the best projects. That's why I just started buying into lithium stocks for the first time this year, because we finally started to see the bloom come off of the rose, and it probably goes a little bit lower. I hope it does. I'm not that heavy into lithium. I have max power and I'll continue to buy that. It's a special situation. I'm looking at a few other ones. Vanadium, I own, obviously, my biggest position is in Phenom Resources, but Phenom Resources is a very special situation, guys. And, just like with any stock, do you buy it when it's running? Phenom Resources is going to have some big runs, okay, in the coming months and years. I'm not pumping it up for next week, but you need to own it before that happens. So, the key to me, for me, has been, instead of plunging into these things and getting excited one day and then buying a big position, maybe that's early, right? And then the thing clips down by 30-40%. And I'm like, shit, I own too much of that. And I need money to buy this one, or I need money to pay my damn rent. Uh, and I sell it early. And then sure enough, it's like 2 years later. And if I just woulda, coulda, shoulda held on, I would have made 20 times my money, and I would have been in a different position. That's what I try to help do here at the Gold Investment Letter. And I would just say, with your premise, Daniel, I would, when something is plummeted 70% from its peak, it's time to start looking at being a buyer, not to be scared. That's a good thing. If you think that like the pump in lithium that we've seen the last year and a half, was that it? Is that the peak of any lithium prices ever? Because that was like, looking ahead to the EV adoption. And then now there's a lot of supply coming online, and it's just not going to be the same. Fair enough if you believe that's the case, but I don't. I think that, even lithium is sort of in the middle, like a balance back to where we were at the highs, and then coming up from whatever those lows may be. There's going to be a lot of opportunity in lithium companies that are going to have really exceptional stories and make a lot of money. The Lithium Americas trade, though, has got nothing to do with much of that. And you'll see that. I mean, there's always reasons. If you're going to buy something the way that I do with this third trade, I've done it with oil. I've done it with gold stocks. I've done it with tech. I've done it with all kinds of different shit. And I cannot remember one period of time where they have actually been completely bludgeoned, where everybody around was saying, avoid it. It's a piece of shit, downgraded, operational bad news, anything. And it doesn't matter, because there's something called a technical framework in markets, supply and demand, that even if it's going to end up eventually going lower, it doesn't go straight to zero. Lithium Americas is a big company with Thacker Pass, which is one of the richest lithium assets in the world. With, was it Ford or Volkswagen as a partner? I think it's Ford. This thing is going nowhere. Okay. This is a huge future production system of domestic supply of lithium for America that's going to be here for decades. They're not going anywhere. Okay. It's just a question of what is the stock price, future, but it's going to get extended. In fact, like I told everybody, I would love to see, and I told my people yesterday, I had 2 elite member calls yesterday, and I said, don't buy the second tranche yesterday. Hold off. What I would love to see is for it to open way down tomorrow and get further extended, and then we buy the second tranche. I put that note out. That is official. We still have dry powder on one more tranche, which needs to be very extreme for us to do that. And so if LAC goes down again tomorrow, and on Monday morning, where it's like super stretched in the sixes and the RSI is down to like 13 or something, I'll pull that trigger. And then we're in it. And then we have a cost average where we've got to make up probably 40% at least in the call option, which, listen, the stock bounces $1 and those things are back to break even. Stock bounces $1.50 and all of a sudden we're locking in 30% profits on the options. Stock rate, goes up $2 from 6 to 8, which is easy after it's stretched down this much. And we're making 50-70% on those options. Watch what happens. I keep telling you guys, watch what happens. The way that you're looking at it is not really relevant to this particular trade. And then vanadium, look, vanadium is a future massively needed critical battery metal that is also critically needed for steel production, critically needed for many new technological applications. And the reality is, people don't really quite understand the Chinese and the Russians control over 70, almost 75% of the global market, and they don't share it. And we need it. And Phenom, working with the government to get big grants to develop that into a mine, is going to be worth a lot of money one day. It already is, it already is with a big, big asset. But my job, working for you guys and for myself, is that when I'm talking to a board of directors and the CEO like Paul Colley, who ends up struggling through a lot of this environment, they don't like when the stock goes down and you can't raise a lot of money because you don't want to dilute it. When things start to finally turn, it's going to be me making sure we press our position and maximize the amount that we get, because somebody will buy that asset and they will take a big, big stake, and I'm not giving that shit away for anywhere near these valuations that we're seeing in Phenom right now, around 20 million bucks. It's going to be closer to 200 million, and that's only on a partnership. And plus, we're going to have all the value in the gold assets. This play, I don't mess with these deals or get in this deep unless I'm making 10 to 100 times my money potentially. And that's the eye on the prize. You can call me a pumper, you can call me whatever you want to do, but I'm patient and we're doing this the right way. So you can ride along. And even like with Golden Tag, that deal is so cheap. If you believe in silver, you should be acquiring it while it's down here. Just chip away at Phenom. If you're in this LAC trade, great. If you're down, great. It's designed for that. You should actually want it to continue to go down so you can get a full three tranche position and make the most amount of money on the bounce. Do you understand how that works? A lot of this is very mental and psychological and emotional. I tried to develop the best formula for this type of thing. Not everybody can do it or get it. It's not for everyone. But also, you can just buy the stock and do the trade. But if you're not a trader and you don't want to mess with it, no problem. Don't do it. We have plenty of other good ideas that come through here. All I know is that also we're seeing some very constructive, as you would call it, green shoots in some of the smaller names in the gold miners that have been starting to move. And the last thing I'll mention right now is Carlisle. I was going to post the chart. Go read the news on CCC or CCCFF in the US on their drill program. I'm going to give more comments on that on a separate video. And then again, Daniel Glazebrook, hey, listen, make a comment with your email or, email Erica, ERIKA, at phenom.ventures and say, hey, I'd like to talk to Eric. We can do it privately. We can do it on Zoom. I appreciate that you're polite. You're putting your thought out there. I just happen to disagree with the premise. It doesn't seem very relevant to what I'm doing with the trade. And I'm happy to discuss that with you on video. We could share it with others if it would help. And I'm not afraid to also say, like, some of your points are valid, or like, if somebody can tell me that I'm wrong, I'm not the type of guy that is just always pounding his chest saying, listen to me, I'm not going to listen to you. One of the reasons why I will say this, that I think that I've become successful in life, well, there's two that come to mind. One is that I grew up next to three guys that were 2, 4, and then 6 years older than me, and they beat the shit out of me every day. And I had to try to do my best to compete, to hang out with them. And that was for my whole childhood. And I think that I saw one of them recently, and I was like, thank you, to toughen me up a little bit. And the second thing is I listen. I listen to people. I listen to, I may have a varying opinion that I'll come back with, but I hear you. I listen. I do try my best. When I talk to people, especially anybody who's more successful than I am, I'm not doing all the talking, I'm doing less talking, and I'm trying to ask questions and learn from this game and from others. Okay. So have a good day. And that's my message for now. I'll try to get this out here before the close. Cheers.